So I just wanted to show you guys some work that I did at Image Engine. This was on Assassin's Creed, and I just wanted to show you because I wanted to run you through this sort of the less glamorous side of map painting, which makes up probably 90% of the job. Unless you end up as a art director, sort of senior map painter or a freelancer, you'll be working on a lot of much more subtle effects, really small patches or things that you normally wouldn't guess. And I'm going to do a couple more of these videos. This one will just show you Assassin's Creed. So this is probably the main shot I wanted to show you, which is this roadway. This dirt roadway had all sorts of vehicle markings on it. So this is the plate, and because typically they will shoot these multiple times, and the vehicles driving down this road are making all sorts of markings. So then we need to take out the tracks. Now this was a little bit too complicated for the Roto Paint preparation guys to do because of the camera move. If you look at the camera move, if we just skip back, it's a really dynamic camera move. It's moving all over the place. It's not just rotating, but it's translating across the ground. So it came to us for a map painting shot, and I think it probably took about a week to get from this to the finished product. And I'm actually I think we might be able to recreate this, and we might do it in a live stream in the near future, because I have the shot, I have the final shot here, which we can potentially grab. It won't be as good as doing it from the original plate, but we can grab this and we can actually reverse the process, and I can show you how I did that. So the process is we get a camera track is done. For a camera like this, it's very dynamic, so to get it to a film grade quality, it took actually quite some time as well. From that camera track, we create a ground plane that is in alignment with what's here, and you start choosing your projection cameras. So for this one, it was basically the first frame, right about there, and then the last frame was our second projection camera around here. And then, but in order to actually get the projection cameras to get all the detail that we needed, we actually needed to do every fifth frame we had to capture, because behind here, and actually you can see it here, there's still a tire track that may be because these wheels are going over it, but there are markings of these tire tracks, and one of the problems was that these shadows had to move over the painted DMP plate. So we had to pick up all of the little light spots in between this area throughout the shot. So we had to try and recreate the same lightness. Now, you could in a B grade film, you would get away with, say, just recreating and clone stamping a lot of this and making it look completely different, and the client wouldn't care. But when you get to really top end films, they get super anal about the original plate, and they want everything to be exactly as it was, but just without the tire tracks. So here's the painted plate, and this is then projected, and then we lift the shadows and position them back over the top. And yeah, we get about a week or two to do that sort of shot. This is another shot that was even more complicated. Again, came to map painting. You can see all the vehicle tire tracks here, and we had to remove them except for the main two. And this was even more complicated because if you see the speed at which we're moving and the data that you have and how long the the ground is actually in the shot for. It's not in the camera's view for very long. So that's one of the reasons why it came to matte painting to do, because the paint prep guys were just stamping out these things, and it was just flickering all over the place. So this was even more complicated. We had to create a ground plane. We had again another camera, but then we had to create a secondary camera, which was the top-down projection, and pick up the filmed plate that was projected onto the card, and then render that out as about, I think it was about 25 layers I rendered out, and then you try and patch that properly. And again, like underneath these horses, all of these tiny tracks they pick up on, and they want them all removed throughout the whole sequence. So this is another one. This whole back piece was recreated. It is some sort of a amphitheater somewhere, but we recreated it, and the DMP patch was simply behind this guy. Was it Michael Fassbender? And it was just in here, and it was simply because it was the cheapest thing to do was to replace that as a matte painting piece. And there was actually a whole sequence of replacements from this sequence. If we skip through, this was one. I think we replaced this piece and this piece here, and again we did have Geo already created for this. Yeah, that was another replacement behind him, behind that girl. There's a bunch of stuff that always surprises me because of the sort of the simplistic nature of it. I think we replaced this whole wall here. There was something else there. Actually, that's right. It was they had a smoke effect that came that the director didn't like, so we wanted it replaced. So that took, I think, a week. So I think one of the expectations before you start in the film industry is how long things take, and when you get in, you realize just how long you get to spend on things. Now, sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes, particularly for feature matte paintings, they get massively underbid, but it's sort of like a level of quality versus the time that you have. When you're freelancing, there's the level of required quality is usually quite a lot lower than in feature film. Now, that's not to say that the image is worse. It's just that the client will zoom in and look at every little detail and make sure that they're happy with everything. So yeah, in a future live stream or in a new tutorial, because this is a very heavily technical matte painting, we'll go through this shot and we'll see if we can recreate it.